My name is Carl Luigi. I'm the founder of the I Refuse to Fail Partnership, and these are our free 1530 events. And at our 1530 events, what we do with our networkers is we sometimes will have a topic we'll discuss, and then what we do is we post this online, and hopefully we give you some good information or some ideas that might help you in your business. And today, what we're going to talk about is commitment. And are you somebody that when they commit, or are you somebody that doesn't commit? I mean, it happens all the time where people either commit to something and don't follow through or whatever. And so I'm going to kick it off with a scenario that I've done in a networking workshop that I've done about committing your time to attending events, meetings, or even your businesses. When people say that they are going to RSVP, I see a lot of RSVPs to different events that require that. I've seen events where there's been 400 people that have RSVP'd and 150 people show up. What happened to those other people? Why did they RSVP? Was it an afterthought? Did they look at their networking as just a social event, or was it to build their business? I think it's kind of disrespectful, unless it's an emergency, that someone not commit, especially if it's a business appointment. If you commit to a business appointment, I always say that if you're on time, you're late. Okay. You should actually show up early. And so I do my best, and nobody's perfect. There have been situations where I was stuck in traffic and couldn't get back to my computer or whatever. But commitment is something I think is important in business. It's important in networking. And if you say you're going to do something, I think it's just good to do it. So if anybody else in the room would like to comment on that, if they can raise their hand, I will, ask them to unmute and they can make a comment. Okay, Louise, you got your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to say, if you go on someone's calendar and you make an appointment with that person, then it's annoying if you're waiting 10 minutes for the person to show up on their own calendar. I just think, and in today's case, the person was and she was running behind. She did send me a text, so that was beneficial. But I've been on Zoom calls where the people never showed up, never sent me a text, and I'm sitting there waiting, and I just find that annoying.
Yeah, it's also disrespectful, I think. I mean, when it's, for no good reason, I mean, if the person, as I have said before I said in my workshop, that if somebody was supposed to be at a networking meeting or supposed to be at a business meeting at 3 o'clock, and, you have a meeting already, a networking meeting, go to the networking meeting. Usually somebody can adjust their time for you, and even if I know everybody looks at a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, that, oh, that person might buy something from me, so I'll blow off the meeting. But the situation is you might have met somebody at the networking event that could have been a good connection for you. And then you went ahead and you met with the person who's supposed to do business with you, and they decided not to. So you were at the airport when your ship came in, and that's never a good thing. Rob.
Wanted to lower my hand. But I mean, integrity is really, you get one chance to really, create that level of integrity. You want to be somebody who's truthful, dependable, honest, and, hey, I'm going to be there, especially when you're setting it up. Now, I couldn't agree with you more, Louise, with somebody who's setting something up as, in your calendar. And, that I've got a busy schedule. I've got so many appointments for different calls and what it is that I do. And if you schedule something, you're now occupying that time slot. So somebody else who would be interested in seeing with me no longer has that time slot available. I mean, just the simple fact that if you've, scheduled something, it's in their calendar, it's on your calendar. Having respect to understand it's reciprocal, and you're basically not allowing somebody else to have that opportunity to use that time in order to speak with that individual. So, really, I mean, the one thing you can't make up for is lost time. I mean, respect it, and people will ultimately respect you for honoring that.
That's true. Mark.
Yeah, I know for my business and my calendar, I typically set up different time slots for different activities. So I might have like a networking time slot, or I might have a one-on-one. And I have these groups of times in my calendar blocked off for those specific purposes. So when someone grabs a time in those specific areas and then doesn't show up to the meeting, it makes it difficult because then I have to kind of push someone out to the following week, or I might not be able to meet with someone else that might have been able to grab that time slot. I know I also had the issue when I did interviews for trying to hire some developers on my team about 2 years ago. I had all these resumes come through on LinkedIn. They scheduled the interviews. I scheduled those out. I probably had about 20 hours worth of time slots filled out for that week. Maybe not, I might be exaggerating, but even still though, only about a third or like a fourth of those people actually showed up to even the interviews, which was just ridiculous. But
Yeah, well, you know, that was a good telltale that you didn't need to interview those people anyway, most likely, because that was their telltale of how they're going to work with you, right?
yeah,
So
they didn't get a second one for sure. So
yeah, I mean, I used to have employees, and you would hire somebody or not hire somebody, but somebody would have a scheduled appointment with you for an interview. If they showed up late or if they didn't show up, and yet they wanted to reschedule and gave me no explanation of why they didn't do it, not going to happen. Okay. And
the
this,
other thing I do too, real quick, is
yeah,
I prep for those calls as well. So if somebody doesn't show up, I probably spend about a half hour sometimes ahead, just kind of prepping on questions that I might want to ask, especially if it's a prospect call or somebody that I might want to talk about a specific topic. So you're wasting also additional time even before the actual time that you've already kind of blocked off in your schedule. So
that's true. That's true. Anissa,
Time is the one resource that is finite in our lives. And we all say that, in business, time is money. When I have a no-show, instead of saying, gosh, I wasted this time, I've done my research, I've put in extra out, whatever, I look at it as I've been given the gift of time. What am I going to do with this amount of time now that I would have been spending with this person? How can I utilize this time best, as opposed to being pissed off because nobody showed? That being said, because of what I do, when someone no-shows me, my first thought is, I hope they're okay.
yeah, I agree with that. In fact, I used to do this in networking when people would RSVP because a lot of people looked at networking as an afterthought. Well, I'll go because it's social, right? Or they're looking at a social when, even though it's supposed to be business. And first thing I would do after they said they were going to be there is I got into an email or a chat with them and said, "Oh my gosh, I hope you're okay. Hope you didn't have an accident. I hope your family is okay. Please get back. Let me know what happened." And then they get back, "Oh, Carl, I forgot all about it." Or, you know, and but that was just my, letting them know that it was important to me for them to be there, and I feel it should have been important for them to be there as well. Because I'm not doing this for me. So anyway, Gareth.
Yeah, thank you. Just thinking of a different way of looking at it as well, actually, because you had some really valid comments there. But what about the commitment to our clients? Committing ourselves to schedule communication. Whether that be social media, whether that be phone calls, whether that be commitment, as you say, to be there on time, to deliver the service you do. So I think it has this whole of the world, doesn't it? All of which has been relevant to our own respect, but also thinking of it as a really good opportunity to commit to those clients. So just another way of thinking about how that might, reverse round and gain you kind of what you might call appreciation marketing, I guess. Because you commit, you get rewarded.
Yeah, that's a good point. And in all facets. So whether it's networking, whether it's business or personal, I mean, it doesn't really matter what it is. I really think and we did a video on communication a while back and how important communicating is. Hey, I know stuff happens, but for heaven's sakes, communicate. Um, I know that Chris, one of our valued 1530 attendees, I mean, my goodness, I don't even expect her to do this, but sometimes she'll send me a text. Oh, Carl, I can't make it today. I'm so sorry. I'll see you next week. I mean, it's just courtesy. It's communication. And did I remember that? Yeah, I just picked her out because of that, right? Does that make her important to me? Yeah, that makes her important to me. So it just makes everybody important. And if you want to be known, liked, and trusted by people, for heaven's sakes, connect with them in some manner, even if you can't commit or fill the commitment. It's just it's good for business. It's good for personal. I think a lot of marriages don't make it just because of lack of communication, right?
No, definitely.
Okay, Roberta.
I do believe that, again, going back to the win-win, it is mutual respect. When someone scheduled time to meet with me, I could be doing something, whether it's driving fast to get back to that meeting, whether it's not spending time with my son, or doing something. You're taking something away from me. And I had at one point a high rate of no-shows. Since I implemented a fee, if you miss that appointment and you don't contact me to give me the heads up, or after the fact, you don't contact me to say, well, something happened, the same kind of respect I show you as a person and as a business owner, you have to pay that fee in order to reschedule with me. I remember a young lady, I met her at a networking event. Great young lady. I mean, I wanted to pour so much into her and help her. And she scheduled time. She got on my calendar, no show, didn't call, nothing. Then she tried to schedule again. And I asked her, I was like, didn't you schedule with me before? And she said yes. And she made up some excuse. Something happened on Thanksgiving. And this was probably now after Christmas. But her story didn't mesh. I have the consideration. I put it in my note. So I told her she needs to pay that fee in order to meet with me. So since putting that in place, my not cancellation, but my no-show has reduced to, let me reverse it. I have 99% of people who show up when they schedule a meeting with me. I did have 2 individuals who said, listen, I cannot adhere. I cannot go with what you have there. So I cannot schedule a time with you. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, what was truly your intentions then? Because that disclaimer is only there if you don't contact me before or after. So I don't understand why people wouldn't schedule, but 99% or 99.9% of people show up.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. In fact, it made me think there's a lot of physicians now, especially specialists. If you cancel within 24 hours, you still have to pay the appointment fee. Okay, because they booked that time to see you. They're specialists. Okay, they could have been seeing somebody else. So there's a lot of them that have implemented that, and it's for that very reason. It's to keep people accountable. It's to keep them, keep that commitment. You can't do it. Not everybody can do that. I mean, I found that a lot of times if you have an event like a networking event, and you were to charge people say $5, or even if it was a deposit, you say you'll give it back when they show up. They just won't RSVP and they won't come because they have problems with commitment. Okay. I'll do it if I can do it. So don't commit to something if it's not important to you. If it's important to you, if it's an integral part of your business, for heaven's sakes, show up. Okay. If there's a good reason, you had an accident, somebody died. We just had a situation where in our podcast that one of the members, his pet had to be put down. He wasn't in the best of mood to be doing a podcast. So I understood that. So, that's fine. But just because, I got up late or, Do you have a freaking alarm clock? You know, or some reason, you know, that to me is unacceptable. Okay. So anyway, if anybody else has anything, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to finish this one up, and I think we're all on the same page that committing is very important. Okay, well, there you go, people. This is what we think about commitment, or at least the people who participated today. And if you'd like to be a part of our I Refuse to Fail 1530 events, feel free to go to iRefuseToFail.com, fill out the form, or, you know, and if you say you're going to come, please come, or let us know why you're not going to make it. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and I wish you all the best.